The lost colony. Found. DNA breakthrough reveals Roanoke settlers didn't vanish. They became someone else. For over 400 years, one word has haunted American history: Croatoan, carved into a wooden post on a deserted island. No bodies, no graves, no signs of struggle. 117 English colonists, men, women, and children, simply gone. It became America's oldest unsolved mystery: the lost colony of Roanoke. Generations of historians, archaeologists, and amateur sleuths have searched for answers. Were they massacred? Did they starve? Were they abducted? Did they simply walk into the wilderness and perish? But what if we've been asking the wrong question all along? What if the colonists didn't vanish at all? What if they survived by becoming someone else entirely? Inches, March 2026, researchers at North Carolina's Coastal Studies Institute revealed findings that are forcing us to rewrite everything we thought we knew about America's most enduring mystery. This isn't speculation. This isn't theory. This is DNA. This is archaeology. This is science finally catching up to a truth that's been hiding inches plain sight for 4 centuries. The breakthrough came from an unlikely place, not the original Roanoke settlement site, but 50 miles south, on Hatteras Island. Historically, this was Croatoan territory, the very word carved into that post. For years, archaeologists had been excavating here, finding curious anomalies they couldn't quite explain. Then, Inches 2025, Excavations uncovered something extraordinary: trash pits. Simple, mundane trash pits. But what was inside them would change everything. English and Native American relics. Side by side, Inches the same layers of soil, buttons, pottery, blacksmith tools, weapons, writing tablets, not separated by conflict, not burned Inches violence. Mixed together Inches, the everyday refuse of people living together. This wasn't evidence of a massacre. This was evidence of a merger. According to reports from the Outer Banks Voice, the March 2026 presentations revealed new archaeological evidence showing European artifacts intermixed with indigenous materials Inches active settlements. The key word there? Active. These weren't abandoned relics scattered across a battlefield. These were the remnants of daily life. Cooking, working, living. The artifacts tell a story of cooperation, not conflict. And that story is now being confirmed by something far more powerful than pottery fragments: DNA. Studies conducted Inches 2025 and 2026 have identified something remarkable: Inches, the descendants of Native American populations on Hatteras Island and surrounding regions. European genetic markers, specifically British. Researchers found traces of European Y-chromosomes intertwined with Native American mitochondrial DNA. Let me explain what that means. Y-chromosomes are passed from father to son. Mitochondrial DNA is passed from mother to child. When you find European Y-chromosomes combined with Native American mitochondrial DNA, Inches the same population, it tells a very specific story. English men, Native American women, children. The colonists didn't disappear. They merged with the Croatoan people. Their bloodlines didn't end. They continued, carrying forward Inches generations of descendants who had no idea they carried the genetic legacy of America's lost settlers. But why? Why would English colonists abandon their settlement and integrate with the indigenous population? The answer lies Inches understanding just how desperate their situation had become. Environmental analysis has revealed a crucial piece of the puzzle that historians long overlooked. The late 1500s saw severe drought conditions, some of the worst Inches' 800 years. Tree ring data confirms it. The colonists arrived during what scientists call the Little Ice Age, and the specific years of the Roanoke settlement coincided with catastrophic water shortages. The original settlement site would have been nearly impossible to sustain. Their crops would have failed, their water sources would have dried up. They faced a simple, brutal choice: death or migration. And 50 miles away, on Croatoan Island, there was another option. The indigenous people there had lived on these barrier islands for generations. They knew how to survive here. They had sustainable food sources, fresh water, and crucially, they had already established friendly relations with earlier English expeditions. The carving makes sense now. Croatoan wasn't a warning. It wasn't a cry for help. It was a forwarding address. The archaeological record supports this interpretation beautifully. Researchers have documented changes inches how indigenous communities on Hatteras used non-Indigenous tools and planted corn after the colonists' arrival. This wasn't conquest. This wasn't subjugation. This was mutual adaptation. The English brought metalworking skills, European crops, and tools. The Croatoan brought survival knowledge, established food sources, and shelter. Inches the face of environmental catastrophe. Two peoples found a way to help each other survive. But the evidence doesn't stop at Hatteras Island. It extends to one of the largest Native American groups east of the Mississippi River, the Lumbee Tribe. The Lumbee have preserved oral histories for centuries, stories passed down through generations. And these stories describe something remarkable: ancestors who came from across the sea. But what makes this truly extraordinary isn't just the stories. It's the names: Dare, Cooper, Brown. These surnames appear inches the Lumbee community, the same surnames that appear inches the 1,587 roster of Roanoke colonists. Virginia Dare, the first English child born inches the Americas, carried the Dare name. And that name persisted. Not Inch's English records. Inch's Lumbee families. Coincidence? Consider the odds. These aren't common surnames appearing randomly. These are specific names matching specific colonists. Inches, a community with oral traditions specifically describing English ancestors. Inches, a region directly connected to Croatoan migration routes. The colonists didn't vanish into thin air. They vanished into a culture. Think about what this means. For 400 years, we've treated Roanoke as a tragedy, a mystery, a failure. We've searched for mass graves and signs of violence. We've imagined desperate colonists wandering into the wilderness to die alone. But the truth is far more remarkable. The colonists adapted. They survived. They built families with the Croatoan people who took them in. Their descendants are still here, still carrying their DNA, still, inches some cases, carrying their names. The lost colony isn't lost anymore. It was never lost. We simply didn't know where to look, or more accurately, who to look at. The 2025 and 2026 findings from the Coastal Studies Institute represent a fundamental shift inches how we understand this chapter of American history. The archaeological evidence shows cooperation. The DNA evidence shows integration. The oral histories show memory. 3 independent lines of evidence, all pointing to the same conclusion. The colonists of Roanoke chose survival over separation. They carved their destination into a post, walked 50 miles to Croatoan territory, and began new lives. Their English culture gradually merged with Algonquian traditions. Their bloodlines continued through Native American descendants. Their story didn't end inches 1590. It continued inches ways we're only now beginning to understand. There are still questions to answer. How exactly did the integration unfold? What were the relationships between the colonists and the Croatoan leaders? How did both communities navigate the cultural fusion? These details may forever remain hidden inches the gaps of history. But the central mystery, what happened to the lost colony of Roanoke, finally has an answer supported by science. They didn't disappear. They didn't die. They didn't fail. They became part of something larger than themselves. Their legacy didn't end on a desolate island, inches 1590. It lives on today, written inches DNA, preserved inches oral traditions, and buried inches the archaeological record of a people who found a way to survive together. The word Croatoan was never a mystery. It was always the answer. We just weren't ready to understand what it meant. If this video changed how you think about history, hit subscribe. We're diving deep into the mysteries that science is finally solving. Next time, another cold case, another breakthrough, another truth hiding inches plain sight. Until then, remember, Sometimes the best answers aren't found inches the places we expect. Sometimes they're found inches the people we forgot to ask.